the issue in this country? We have people who think like this in positions of power.
Your is because 78% of you don't have your father in the home anymore. You got baby mamas running around with 8 kids so they can get EBT cards to feed you all. You think I'm being racist? No, I'm being real. Oh, you've got more melanin than me. Ooh, so you get more privileges?
And it's not just in our boardrooms. It's in our city halls, our schools, our charity organizations. It's everywhere. Mentality is carried from the locker room to the bar to the private offices of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. And the worst part is, no one sees it as a real issue. The plight of Black people is not taken serious in this country. What if there were an alternate universe in which white people were treated the same way Black people are treated in this plane of existence? Tales, Episode 6, Season 1, F, the Police. We are thrown into a fictitious alternate timeline where white people are systemically disenfranchised and relegated to second-class citizens. Sound familiar? We are in the aftermath of the shooting of a young, unarmed white boy by the name of Jaden Jenkins. He was shot without impunity after being brutalized and berated by 2 Black officers. Later on, after the police arrive, we get an actual recount of events from none other than Brody. Jaden and Brody live in the same projects, and he saw everything that happened the night Jaden died. He tells a white police officer that the 2 Black officers snatched Jaden's pass out of his hand, body slammed him on the ground, called him poor white trash, and shot him without impunity. Side note, in this timeline, passes are used by white people to get to what is known as the free zone. I presume the free zone is the part of town where all the Black people reside. Zoning towns, splitting them up like poorly cut pieces of pie in order to keep them in a constant state of disconnection from wealth and opportunities. Where have I heard that before? Brody is pulled away from talking to law enforcement by his brother. His brother asks him why he is even talking to them in the first place. Brody expresses that he is tired of the brutality they face and that he wants justice for Jane. He informs his brother that he wants to testify on behalf of Jane. His brother warns him against it. Brody says he is late for work, so he makes his way to his job via the bus. Brody has a job in the free zone. He works in the kitchen, part of staff for a well-to-do Black man by the name of Bob Davis. Bob Davis hosts a newscast called The Davis Report. The Davis Report is this timeline's version of any typical Fox News broadcast we have here. Pick one, anyone, like literally. Brody arrives late after a run-in on the bus with a police officer that results in his pass being ripped up. He directly apologizes to his immediate supervisor, an Asian man. The Asian man instructs Brody to put on his cap, as he explains he doesn't want any of his ratty hair getting in his aioli dip, but not before making remarks about him being on jungle time. It's nice to know that no matter which way the pendulum swings, Asians will still be racist. The pass was ripped up and he needs a new one. The supervisor coldly brushes him off, telling him, "You gotta take that upstairs and deal with that, not my problem." In case you didn't catch it, that was a microaggression. Brody finally makes it into the office of Mr. Davis, and he is greeted by Mrs. Davis. She smiles at him warmly and asks him how he is doing today. Mr. Davis disrespectfully butts in and says you don't have to be nice to him. He is only to help. Brody approaches Mr. Davis' desk and asks him to issue him a new pass. Mr. Davis issues a new pass, but he complains the entire time. Brody hangs his head in shame as Miss Davis asks Brody if he knew the boy Jaden that was shot and killed. Mr. Davis interjects again. "Jesus, Jenny, of course he knew him." You know, because all white people know each other. Brody thanks Mr. Davis for the pass and quickly exits the room. Brody is serving champagne in a room of mostly Black men. Bob greets the men and thanks them for coming, joking about them being here about the end of the world. They all laugh about the joke. One of the men starts to speak. He says that the narrative has gotten away from them. In the audio tape, the boy can be heard crying for help. He says we have to change the narrative or else we will be buried right along with this boy, as he raises his glass, signaling Brody to pour him more champagne, and Brody quietly does so. Bob Davis assures them that this is an open and shut case, and that this case will never go to trial. It will die out until something new circulates. The man informs him that the stations are playing the recording on a loop. Bob Davis tells them that they are going to circulate information about Jaden's gang affiliation and how his clothes were threatening to the peace officers. Miss Davis asks, "How can clothes be threatening?" Then the room is plunged into a deafening silence. Mr. Davis grabs Miss Davis' hand and assures the men that he will take care of this. Mr. Davis then exits the room, but not without giving Brody a dirty look before fully exiting the room. Later that night, Miss Davis finds Brody in the kitchen washing dishes, and they begin talking. Miss Davis apologizes to Brody about today. Brody asks, what does she have to be sorry about? Miss Davis replies, everything. Brody responds, that's uncalled for coming from you. Miss Davis asks, so you don't see me as part of the problem? Brody responds, no. Miss Davis asks why. Brody responds, because I don't believe you see all white people as criminals. We're going to get back to the episode, but I want to take a brief intermission to explain to you what's going on here. Mrs. Davis is forbidden, but in a good way. Her beauty, her purity, her respect, it is protected like how white women are protected here in this realm. Miss Davis responds, I don't believe anyone is better than anyone else. We are all equal. Brody smiles and they share a laugh. Miss Davis expresses that she feels caged, like she is kept on display for Bob's friends to see. Miss Davis asks Brody if he ever felt that way. Someone walks in and Miss Davis tells him next time. The camera pans to them holding hands while romantic music is playing in the background. Cut to Brody is walking away from Bob Davis' estate. Brody looks at Mr. and Mrs. Davis through the window as they embrace each other warmly. Cut to the prosecutor for the Jaden case tunes into the Davis report. Mr. Davis informs the audience that he was able to retain an audio of the shooting. He offers a warning to the audience that what they may hear may be very disturbing. The prosecutor listens to the tape with a sense of sorrow. You know, it's almost as if a young boy should never find himself in this situation, regardless of what color he is. He is interrupted by a knock from the white police officer that took Brody's account of the shooting. Tell me this is the Jenkins case, he responds. The cop tells him he has the preliminary hearing while holding up a file in his hand. The prosecutor asks if this kid was defenseless. The cop responds that the police thought he had a gun. He says, you know, they all look alike. Did he say that or did you, the prosecutor ask? The prosecutor is inspecting Brody Wilson's file as the officer tells him that Brody is solid and credible. He held down a job in the free zone for 3 years. Prosecutor tells him there is a lot riding on this case for all of us. Cut to Brody is walking down the street as a black female officer asks him if he is lost and does he live around here. She asks Brody for his ID and pass. She asks if Brody is carrying anything on him that she should know about. The officer forcefully searches Brody unlawfully and objects him to a pat-down. As the officer finishes, she tells him to not let her catch Brody around here again. The white cop returns to the neighborhood. The prosecutor asks where the cops were standing when Jaden came out of the house. The white cop points here and here. They said he was belligerent, high on drugs. Prosecutor asks if anything was said that could have provoked the officers. The white officer says he thinks Jaden was recording the moment he stepped out of his house. What did the cop say, he said, the prosecutor asked. Same stuff, Ray, spitting at him, telling him to get off his patch. And the classic, he resisted arrest. The prosecutor says that the witness says that he was curled up in a fetal position after he was pushed to the ground. He knew better than to attack. Clear contusion to the back of his head. The prosecutor continues, from striking the ground. The white officer throws his hands up in a state of surrender. The exchange becomes more heated and the white officer walks away. Brody returns from work and is greeted by the prosecutor and his mother as the mother is offering the prosecutor a refreshment. Brody asks his mom if they can or if they have company. She responds no. She says that the man is there for him. She speculates it's to ask Brody to testify. The prosecutor gets up and introduces himself. Brody does not shake his hand. Brody asks his mother to give them a minute and she refuses at first, but then she gives in. The prosecutor reminds Brody that he told the officer that he wants to testify, and now Brody needs to tell him the same. Your family doesn't seem too supportive, the prosecutor highlights. He continues on to talk about how his neighbors don't seem that supportive either. He explains that he knows this won't be a cakewalk for him. By the way, the term cakewalk comes from slavery. But I have to hear from you that you understand what this means, the prosecutor continues, and that you won't let anything stop you from taking the stand. So you're saying that you're actually going to take this to trial? Brody asks. I'm seriously considering it, says the prosecutor. What did you see this morning? The prosecutor asks. It was about 6:35 a.m. or so, Brody says. The big one takes Jaden's pass and slammed him on the ground. Then they shot him multiple times in the chest like he was nothing, Brody says. That's what I saw. The prosecutor asked Brody if he is willing to say what he just said to him in a court of law in the next few weeks. Brody gets up silently and goes toward the front door to open it. The prosecutor says he will let Brody know what they decide in a few weeks. Yeah, you do that, Brody says, as he eagerly shuts the door behind him. The white man that Brody passed by earlier is leaving the bar. He is approached by the black female officer that searched Brody earlier that day. I thought you were here earlier, she says to him. He responds to her that he is off work now. The black lady cop asks him if he is drunk out in public now too. The man says no in a panic and says he is just on the way home. The lady cop asks him for ID and pass, and he gives them to her. She throws it back at him and tells the man to turn around. Cut to a shot of an onlooker pulls their phone out of their pocket. So are you going to arrest me from walking out of the bar? The man asks. What did you say to me? The lady cop asks. I said either arrest me or let me get on my way. His words interrupted by a blow to the face with a nightstick. Brody's brother asked his friend Tay if he got everything on camera. He confirms that he did. Brody's brother says he knows just who to give it to. Later that night, Brody has a rather sexual dream about his boss's wife, Miss Davis. Just as they are about to sleep with each other, Mr. Davis materializes out of nowhere with a shotgun and calls Brody a MFer before delivering the shot that jolts Brody awake. Brody gets up and comes downstairs after being asked by his brother to come down because there's something that he needs to see. Brody goes into the living room where his brother is, and his brother turns on the Davis Report, a very special edition of the Davis Report. Mr. Davis explains that there has been an unaliving of a white man in the Central City Zone. Brody asks his brother to turn the TV off. His brother tells him that they ain't playing with us out there. I was there. Brody exclaims that was the same female cop who stopped him earlier that day. Brody tells his brother that Mr. Davis is his boss. His brother says that he thought he hated that job. Brody says it's not about that. Brody's brother gets upset and leaves. A knock on the door alerts Brody. Brody approaches the door thinking that it's his brother, but in reality it's Jenny Davis, Mr. Davis's wife. Brody quickly pulls her inside out of concern. Jenny says she walked all the way to Brody's neighborhood, the jungle. Jenny tells him that she showed him where she lives, and she asks Brody to show her where he lives. Brody takes her by the hand and guides her to his bedroom. He says, "Well, this is it." Jenny asks, "Where do you go to get away?" Brody responds, "There is no getting away here." They kiss each other, and what seems to be the longest sex scene in history ensues. I'm sorry, I'm not interracial relationships or like that. If that's your thing, have had it, but me, no, I'm sorry. Next morning, Brody walks Jenny out of the front door, past his brother and all his brother's friends. Brody's brother is laughing and smiling, asking him if he's gonna introduce Jenny to them. Brody's brother continues to smile and stares at him the entire time. Brody comes back from taking Jenny, and his brother is busy consuming cannabis. He asks if Brody took his girl home, then follows up with, "Or should I say, back to your job?" His brother then proceeds to say, "Jenny ain't just black, man. You smashing Bob Davis's wife, man." Brody says to him, "Don't." The brother continues, "I'm not gonna lie, I thought the testifying stuff was some otherworld stuff, but you smashing Jenny from the free zone sends this stuff into hyperspace. Is there anything else you want to tell me?" His brother asks. "What about that court stuff?" Brody's brother asks. "You gonna go through with that?" He continues. He tells his brother, "Brody, you seen Tay's video. They can't deny that this stuff ain't the way we say it is. It's a new day. And your black prosecutor is going to be down here with a shiny new court suit for you to wear and a comb, making sure you got your story straight." Meanwhile, at the prosecutor's office, he receives a call. He answers it promptly. He says he's seen it and he is in the office. Cut to a shot of black officers onlooking a group of white protesters as they come barreling towards them with signs. Mr. Davis asks the citizens of the jungle to remain calm. Mr. Davis then reveals that he is in the studio with Brody's brother's friend, Tay, the person who shot the video. Back home, everyone is watching. Mr. Davis asked Tay if he thought that his video would have the impact that it did to set off a firestorm of protests and white rage across the nation. Tay says that black people have a funny way of looking at peace, as if only one side is supposed to maintain it, even at the expense of their sanctity and their safety. I'm not gonna lie, at this point, it has taken me days on end to write this script, so now I'm about to get through this episode as fast as humanly possible. Mr. Davis tells Tay that he understands that he witnessed a terrible incident. Tay responds, "The system was rigged to fail me." From here, the conversation becomes explosive. Tay provides many solid arguments for broadcasting the mistreatment of his people as Mr. Davis tries to maintain an unbiased stance but fails miserably. Tay points out the fact that something very bad has to happen for him to get on his show or for them to even understand or realize that they exist, while he is constantly being talked over by Mr. Davis. Once the topic of police are brought up, Tay responds, "F the police." Production is cut as soon as Tay says "F the police," and Tay is escorted out of the studio. Mr. Davis issues an apology to the viewers as Tay's statements were cruel and offensive to some, and that producers felt that in this climate, his words would have been too inflammatory. Brody is walking past Mr. Davis' house, and he is trailed by two black officers. He walks up to the gate, punches in the code, and then the gate opens. He walks to the front door where Jenny answers. Brody says he needed to see her and to see if she was okay. He hugs her, and then Jenny asks, "What are we going to do?" Brody goes inside with her. Back at Brody's house in the jungle, someone is banging on the door. Brody's brother gets up to answer it. Now, if you don't understand what's going on, if you haven't been keeping up for this entire video, then I'm here to tell you that the policemen are going to try to intimidate Brody so that he won't testify, or in this case, Brody's brother. none other than the policeman who shot Jaden, and they're back with their buddies from the force. His brother goes off on the cops, calling the tallest one ugly, saying they got no cat in school. Only reason they joined the force is because they're a bunch of cowards, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Brody's brother says that he would give anything to fight one of them right now. Tyron Turner says challenge accepted. He pretends he is about to leave, but then he cocks back and throws the first punch. Then the rest of the men join in assaulting him. Once finished, they leave as Brody's brother screams into the abyss about how he will unalive every last one of them and that they will all be unalive, things of that nature. Cut to Jenny and Brody are in bed together talking about nonsense. Brody tells Jenny that he is going to testify in the Jaden Jenkins case. That is the only important thing that happens in this entire scene of them sitting in bed together. All right, now y'all stay with me because we almost done. We at the climax. Here you go. This is, prepare yourself, strap in, because this is where things are about to develop like really, really fast. Back at the prosecutor's office, he is observing an article, and the title reads, District Attorney Defends Gang Member. The white cop comes in, the prosecutor has a drink. I sincerely apologize, but I'm not covering the rest of the scene, I'm sorry. Back at Brody's, Brody comes home and finds his brother is beat up. His brother tells him that the cops came and that he cannot testify. I forgot to mention this earlier, but Brody's brother tells Brody that the cops said if Brody testifies, then he is an unalived man. I cannot say the D word on YouTube, guys. I am so sorry. Prosecutor goes on the Davis report. They have a deep conversation about the system in relation to white people. Then Mr. Davis drops the biggest bombshell that they have the name of the witness that he will put on the stand. In short, they know it's Brody. They know it's Brody now. They know Brody's identity. After the show, Brody's identity is leaked. News personnel is right outside of his front door, which prompts a call from the prosecutor. And Brody is pissed, and rightfully so, because it's almost as if the target on his back wasn't big enough already. The prosecutor says he still needs Brody to testify, and he agrees. Then they have this barbecue montage of sorts with white people in it. This white girl is trying to push up on Brody, and then Brody refuses. Spicy white girl calls him out, asking Brody if it's that black girl. She points out the fact that she doesn't see her there. Then she says she will fight that bee. Brody casually smirks and walks away, calling the girl crazy. Just to clarify, as a black woman, it's never been that deep. Like, take everything in this episode with a grain of salt, but it's never been that deep for us. No, I'm sorry. You're not gonna play with black women like that. No. You take it all away. Baby, I ain't cared since 2008 when they first started doing the shit. That doesn't, no. We are thrown into the jury selection for the Jaden Jenkins trial. This scene demonstrates how white people and black people have paramount experiences in this timeline. White people are harassed more by the police, being that they are black, like the majority of black people in the country at the time. They're not being systemically oppressed, things of that nature. The jury selection is stacked against the little boy Jaden and in the favor of the black cops. I will not go into the trial. Kiss my ass. I've been writing this script for 3 days. The Prosecutor pulls up to Mr. Davis' mini mansion and Mr. Davis is getting out of the car. The prosecutor and Mr. Davis exchange words. Mr. Davis asks the prosecutor, "When did you stop defending all people and start defending exclusively white people?" Mr. Davis calls him a sellout and then opens his front door. And to his surprise, Brody and Mrs. Davis are ascending the staircase while Brody has his hand on Miss Davis' behind. Mr. Davis yells out in duress as the prosecutor is standing behind him. The police spawn out of nowhere. Mr. Davis asks Miss Davis if Brody forced himself onto her. She lies and says yes. Brody is being detained by the police and one of the officers are strangling Brody. The prosecutor is yelling, telling them to stop. Brody keeps repeating that "I can't breathe." Eventually, Brody passes away. Brody is wheeled out in a body bag while the Davises are looking on with a mix of confusion and disdain. The prosecutor shakes his head. Tay runs to tell Brody's brother the horrible news. Brody's brother is so upset he pulls a pew-pew out on Tay. Brody's brother cries. There's a protest. Fight breaks out. The two black officers are acquitted, that too. White person hanging from a tree. D'Angelo plays in the background for some reason. The end. Alright, let's just call this what this is. This is a Klan member's worst nightmare. Racist white people are so feeble-minded that they believe that if we as a people were to receive any of the systemic power that they have, we would do the exact same thing to them that they did to us. And that could not be further from the truth. I don't speak for the black collective. I'm not gonna sit up here and pretend like I do. But me personally, I don't want to oppress any white person. I don't care about that. You know what I want? A full fridge. That's what I want. I want a full fridge. You know what I want? Upward economic mobility. You know what I want? I want to go outside and feel safe. You know what I want? To not wake up in the morning and look at my phone and see people and children who look like me being unalived over diapers.